Great. Welcome everyone to another episode of Telehealth Secrets. I guess for the audience, I know we haven't had this for a while. Mainly it was we were just a little bit swamped with our Telehealth Secrets in-person conference that went really well. We're really excited. We had like over 65 speakers, and then today we're really excited. We think all of you are going to really enjoy our final episode for this year, and Bryan. So he's actually he's a medical collection expert. He's owner of many, and as well investor in a number of telehealth companies. And what's interesting is on top of all his accomplishment, you can read his formal bio. So he actually coached girls softball for over 16 years and put over 150 girls on scholarships to colleges such as Stanford, Harvard, Yale, LSU, Miami. And he also owned a construction company that moved Thomas Edison's original GE plant. Again, we're pretty excited to be here to share. I guess maybe before we get started, I guess Bryan, maybe you can briefly introduce yourself, just share something.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I've been doing debt collection for about 16 years now. As you said, I used to own a construction company. Um, I sold a construction company, was trying a couple different things, actually owned a recruiting agency. A lot of people don't know that. Did a lot of recruiting in the construction and the legal field. In 2002, 2003, a friend of mine introduced me to debt collection. And I've grown it to we're nationwide now, all 50 states. We can also do Puerto Rico, and we also have an international connection. You'll hear the different programs today. The flat rate program that we're going to talk a little bit later today about is strictly here in the U.S., but I can do debt collection throughout the pretty much the world, about 240 different countries. So it's been a very successful ride. Met Milton, I think it was 2013. I had a major involvement, financial involvement, in a telemedicine company called Curum MD, which is currently working strictly telemedicine in the workman's comp industry, and built a relationship with Milton over the years to try to grow telehealth. Majorly impressed, Milton, with the success that you have, finding out recently over 1,500 clients. That's quite impressive growth. I've really kept my hand in the telemedicine business, more because of the debt recovery and helping doctors grow their practice. We do a lot with financing for doctors also. So, congratulations on your growth. And as I've said to many people, if you're going to use telehealth, use VSee. They really have the process down, So I want to thank you today for inviting us, and hopefully I can help some doctors. We'll go through some stuff. A lot of doctors are finding out that, 40% of their income now is coming from self-pay, and we can show you how to at least recover a lot of that, if not all of it, in one aspect or another.
Awesome, in there. I know, like for example, when we work with physicians as well practices, it's always about it's one of the things like people don't really mention about the collection side, just the money aspect. But we know that a lot of the physicians, they're not, it's not like the financials are doing so well, again, getting make sure that part of the business is squared away. Yeah, I actually think it's a must for, it's like almost like, I think what you're going to share is like a must know for every physician practice.
Well, I'm glad you say that, because a good friend of mine, Dr. Jack Hauser, God rest his soul, he passed away about 2 years ago from cancer, but he really took me under his wing with debt collection for medical. And one of the things that many of the colleagues that he introduced me to across the country would say, "Oh, I don't want to be known as the doctor that puts their patients in collections." And I'd say to the doctor, they don't talk about that at a party, but what they will say is, "Oh, go see Dr. Smith, because if you can't pay, he'll work out a payment plan, and if you still can't pay, he'll still continue to treat you." What they're saying is, go see Dr. Smith. He doesn't, he'll never put you in collection. He won't charge you, and you end up giving pro bono work. What we're going to show today is, we'll let you decide when you want to do pro bono work, not them.
Sure. Okay. How about this? Maybe Bryan, you can. I know you have a presentation. How about maybe you could go through your presentation, then later we can open up to the audience for some live Q&A.
Sure, no problem. So thank you everybody for joining. And again, Milton, I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to your clients and colleagues across the country and maybe some international, I understand. My name is Bryan Pereyo. Some of you may know me. I do quite a bit of stunts out there as Uncle Louie, and I can do that later on if somebody would like. Um, I've taken a big interest after owning a construction company for almost 15 years on recovery of unpaid invoices. What I learned was one of the biggest areas unpaid invoice was medical, and I have over 5,000 practices across the country that I work with in many different aspects. And what I've learned is that doctors are great people. They're providers. Their bedside manner is terrific. But what they don't like is the financial aspect of it. They want the reward, because they've studied hard and they're still working hard every day. But they don't like, the what I'll call the negative aspect of the financial and the medical practice, and it's getting worse every day. So we'll talk about that. We also get involved with the accounts receivable, and we'll talk about that. What I'd like to talk about today, and bear with me here, a little technology savvy, okay? Current financial challenges. Let's take a look back at 2000. If you can remember back to 2000, I'm a little older than some. Copays average back then were $5 to $20. Okay, insurance carriers were paying you, your practice, for a provider visit somewhere in the 120 to 145 range. It was a nice time to be in the medical field. 90 or 95% of the visit reimbursement came from the insurance company. So if I said to you as a patient, hey doc, I know they owe you a $10 copay. I really don't have it right now. Money's a little tight. I got laid off. You would just pay me when you can. Well, that was great back then because, again, 90 to 95% of your income was coming from the insurance company, and you were making top dollar for that visit, $120, $145 a visit. Your 120-day AR is where I get involved, right? 190 to 120. In 2000 was less than 10% of your annual income. So if your practice is doing, let's just say, $500,000 a month, okay, only 10% of that, worst case, was in the 120 range, and 90% of that or better was insurance, what we call insurance resolution, insurance companies denying claims, which I know you all have. A lot of people don't know, and we'll talk a little bit about that today. You can actually put an insurance company into collections, and the doctors get nervous. No, I don't want to upset them. It's not against the law to put them in insurance, and you have the right to get paid, and we'll talk about that. I want to go now to projections for 2019. Let's look ahead, right? We're very close here. Today's the 19th. We're less than 2 weeks away from 2019. Insurance only covers on basic plans a physical and one follow-up visit. Okay, that's it, right? The annual wellness visit or the physical and one follow-up visit. The average copay, which used to be $5 to $20, is now anywhere from $25 to as high as $150. And I've even heard higher. A friend of mine owns an MRI clinic. He's charging some patients $200, $300, even as much as $500 copay. Or they're responsible for 100% of it because they haven't met their deductible. Over 60% of the additional visit, okay, are out of pocket. I want you to think about that, okay? Over 60% of additional visits. We're not talking the physical. We're not talking the follow-up visit. We're talking, I have a common cold. I have a sinus infection. I have bronchitis. I came down with, whatever it may be. If I walk in that office, that fee is 100% out of pocket. 60% of the people now that are walking in your door need to pay you something, whether it's a portion or the entire amount, okay? That's a big dollar figure, okay? So on average, what we say is the insurance company is only now reimbursing $75 to $105 per visit. Remember when I went back, we were up at $120 to $145 per visit. I did the same comparison a while back for a friend of mine. He was a BMW dealer. Back in 2000, he was getting $49 an hour for his technician. Today, he's getting $79 to $89 per hour for the technician. Well, how come the auto mechanic rate is almost doubled? And in your case, it's almost, cut in half, 50%. What doctors have been doing, and I've seen it nationwide, whether I'm in Hawaii, Alaska, Maine, Florida, even in the what I call the Rust Belt area of the country, Ohio, Indiana, doctors are increasing their cycling time. What's happening to the quality of care? Not saying you're not, you're just trying to survive. You've gone from 4 or 5 patients per hour to seeing 8, 10 patients an hour. I have doctors that tell me they have an estimate of how much they make per visit, and they have to see so many patients a day. So they're using 2 or 3 exam rooms, having the MA get a lot of the preliminary information up front when the doctor goes in, analyzes, oversights, talks to the patient, and on to the next patient in 5 to 6, maybe 7 minutes. Okay, all because the insurance company argues with me all the time. They're my patients, not doctors. Well, I disagree. I think they're doctor patients, and the insurance company is exactly what it is, insurance. So the 120-day plus AR in 2019 is estimated to be 34% of your budget. Now let's go back to that $500,000 figure, okay, that you're doing a month, all right? 500,000 a month, maybe you're doing $1 million a month, maybe you're only doing $200,000 a month. But at $500,000, it means over $160,000 a month is not getting collected compared to less than 50,000 in 2000. Big number, right? Right? It's tripled. So what's happening? You know, your overhead and your profit is shrinking. And, you know, some doctors are even telling me they're selling their practices, which is something I don't want to see. And I take very personal with my clients nationwide to try to help them. So let's talk about the 3 tips to get 100% payment. And we talk about 100% payment, but I really want to be honest with you. I can't guarantee 100% payment, but I can greatly increase your recovery well over 100% for what you're getting today, if not more. Number 1, debt collection in medical is no longer an option. Doctors said to me, I was talking with Millen before, they don't want to be known as the doctor that put patients in collections. That's not true. What you're known as is the doctor that gives free service. Oh, they go to somewhere, oh, go see Dr. Smith. You know, he'll set up a payment plan, and if you can't make the payments or you can only make partial payments, he'll work with you. That's great. And I want you still to be able to decide who you give pro bono treatment to and reduce costs to. But most importantly, a lot of these people know this, and you know what? They're going to dinner or a casino. And I talked about Dr. Hauser, and just a quick story how I met Dr. Hauser. Dr. Hauser, I met him on a Thursday, and I made my presentation, and he loved it. So let me think about it over on a weekend. On Sunday morning, I got a call from Dr. Hauser asking me to come in to see him. I said, okay, Doc, what time on Monday? No, now. And I'm like, okay, well, I could be there in an hour. That's great. See if you can make it quicker. Don't forget to bring me coffee. When I went in, Dr. Hauser Saturday night had gone to the casino and seen a patient that he knew had owed him money. He came in Sunday morning and found that she owed him over $4,400. Yet she's gambling at the table, and then she's eating at Michael Jordan's restaurant. And he wanted to know how to debt collection. And I said, okay, Doc. So what I'm trying to say to you is, you know, if the dishwasher breaks, you're not getting paid this month. Okay, if the dog needs, you know, whatever type of treatment, you may not be getting paid this month. You're 26th on the household budget to get paid. Well, let me help you improve that, okay? So debt collection is a necessary tool in 2019, excuse me. And let's let you get back to who you decide to do the pro bono work for. Tip 2, debt collection can be expensive. We all know that. Some companies are charging 30, 40, 50%. I've even heard over 50% on some areas of what they're recovering. I'm going to show you how to do it for $15 a case or less and keep 100%. Third-party debt collection service, take the pressure off. It's a very, and I want you to understand this with debt collection, it's a very highly regulated industry, almost like anti-money laundering and fraud protection that we also get involved with, okay? Let us take that burden off it and keep you in compliance. Because those calls, if your office is making and leaving a message at my house saying, Mr. Pereyo, you have an outstanding balance, please call. And my fiance walks in, or wife, or girlfriend, whatever she may be, and here's that message, you just broke the law. And you don't want that. Tip 3, we want to keep patients engaged with your staff. People say to me, wait a minute, you don't want my staff making the call, but you want my staff to stay engaged. Let me explain to you what I'm going to show you today. Number 1, most important, we want to keep your staff in stage because they don't like working with collection agencies. They want to pay the practice, so they think their credit's not in jeopardy. So what we do is get them to call you, you keep 100%. So my third tip is, let's keep your patients engaged. How many of you, and I want you to think about this answer when we get to the question and answer, how many of you are already predicting how many new patients you need to grow, you need to gain next year? I know you're thinking it, all doctors think it, maybe 100, maybe 300. I want you to think of one thing that you may not have thought of. How many are you going to lose this year? Because they owe you money and they're going to switch to a different doctor. I want to show you how to educate those patients to pay you, but most importantly, retain them and have a good working relationship with them. Real quick, I'm just going to go through some stuff. We've been audited for the SOC 2 audit, second time. Most collection agencies don't even take the time to do this test. We did this certification. We've done it. We passed it with flying colors both times. We have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, which is unheard of in my industry. We have interfaces, and I'm just going to talk about a few of them, and there's quite a few more, okay? But we're interfaced with MicroMD, eClinicalWorks, NextGen, Allscripts, EagleSoftware Dental, Centricity, Epic, Pulse Health, Athena, okay? We are also the first company ever to have a debt collection app with QuickBooks, FreshBooks, Sage, and Xero. And we are the preferred debt collection agency nationwide. Okay, we teamed with our partners, Callbox, to build this app. Okay. Nope, sorry. I'm not going to move them. There we go. So let's talk about collections, and I want to talk about this very seriously. Okay, I'm going to move my cursor so you can see this. Okay, what happens in your office? Patient comes in, right? Has a copay, leaves with a balance statement. And he's waiting for the EOB, right? What the insurance company's gonna pay, but they have a copay. Here's the sad statistic I want to give you: 37.8% of what I'm asked to collect, almost 40%, is money that's not collected at the door. I'm gonna say that one more time: 40% of what you're gonna ask me to collect is not collected at the door. We work very hard with your staff to explain to them why they're the first line of defense for you. And when you're 34% of your income is coming from the patient, we need to get it when it walks in the door. Otherwise, you pay the staff to collect it, and then you're paying me to collect it. You're paying twice, and we go through that with them. Okay. Most practices, and I'll get my cursor back here, invoice at 30, maybe a phone call between 30 and 60, another invoice at 60. Oops, sorry. Another invoice at 90. Again, maybe a call or two. Another invoice, and this goes on and on and on. I've been at practices where I've taken over the debt collection, and they've billed for over 2 years straight. We call that in the industry the hopium theory. And what we mean by that is every month you send out that statement, I hope to get paid. We want to stop that. If you've sent 3 statements and possibly made a call or two, our feeling is they switched from a distracted debtor to a disrespectful debtor, and they should be in collections. You've worked very hard to get where you have and provide top-notch medical treatment for them. You should be paid. I'm not saying that they may have to make payments, but you should be paid. We want to help you get paid and do it for as low cost as possible. Okay. I want you to think about it. Most of your collection companies, when they collect, they hold the money for 30, 60, a lot of them up to 90 days, which is legal. We're having the patient pay your office and putting the money back in your practice where it's needed now. Not in my pocket, in your pocket. Why do I say 90 days in it? Well, the U.S. Department of Commerce gave you these numbers, not me, and I'm just working with the statistics, okay? If I get it at 90 days, there's a 74% chance I can collect it. A lot of my doctors say, no, I'm not putting nobody in collections into 6 months, which I disagree with, but I want to show you something. That drops down to 28%. That's a 46% chance of me not collecting it now. Now, I average much better than what the statistic shows, but what I'm trying to say to you is, why lose the chance of collecting all that money? You worked hard for your money, or your staff has worked, you and your staff has worked hard for this money. You guys should get paid, okay? So how do we do this? I have 4 steps in my process. Most companies use the starts at step 2. Some are using us at step 1 for the accounts receivable. Accounts receivable, I start at 31 days. I don't let you send that 30-day statement. I send a reminder call. I start sending letters. I make more calls. I do letters. And in this 28 or 60-day period, however you want to set, everything in mine is adjustable to work with you the way you want. And that first 30 or 60 days, all the letters, all the phone calls look like they're coming from your office, and the money goes directly to you. You keep 100%. If you decide to do your first 3 statements, which many of my doctors do, we pick up, and what we say is at step 2, oops, sorry, again, I hit, at step 2 right here, demand 1, demand 2, demand 3, demand 4, demand 5. I set this program up on, as you can see, on a 15-day program. Then it goes 15 days, then 10, then 10, then 10. I can arrange it any way you want. That first letter goes out as a courtesy notice, and it tells the patient, we realize this might be an oversight on your part, not a willful disregard. Please contact the doctor's office and make that payment today. Okay? I want to hear listen what I'm saying that letter says. Please contact the doctor's office and make that payment today. What did we talk about as one of our tips? Keeping the patient involved, right, engaged with your staff. Why? Because we want to educate them to pay, but keep them as a patient, right? You are getting still insurance money from them, right? You've worked hard in taking care of them, and maybe you don't want to lose them because they've been patients for 10 years, but something's changed financially. We need to educate them. So in this second stage, again, somewhere $15 or less, we will send what is known as 5 legal demands to them, and you keep 100%. Again, think about somebody owes you $500. If I collect that and take a third, I'm taking, okay, over $165 of your money. If I do this way, I'm taking 15 and you're keeping the entire 500 with an ROI of 485. I don't know about you, but on a $500 invoice, I'd rather keep the entire 500 and only pay 15 than giving up 165 of my hard-earned money for a $500 bill. If all this fails, and again, you know, we're averaging right now 47.3% nationwide, okay, for my clients. If this fails, which, you know, half of them probably will end up in it, we send them to our intense collection group. That starts at 60-40, depending on volume, it may go down a little bit, but 60-40 split. Here we do all the work, we collect. Once a month, we cut you a check and direct deposit it in your account. Again, why? Putting that money in your pocket as quick as possible where the money belongs. Last but not least, at no cost to you, we'll do a complete asset management of the client. If the patient is worth suing, we will send you documentation to whether you decide to sue or not. I do recommend to a lot of my doctors before they decide whether to use the legal service or not, that they do check with their malpractice insurance. Some malpractice insurance does not allow a doctor to sue a patient for outstanding invoices, and we can go through that on a one-on-one basis. So again, no percentage, no commission, flat fee, 15%, 100% goes to you. Depending on which step you can do step 1 and 2, which the first step is in your name, second step is in our name, and that entire process, you're keeping 100%. I want you to think in step 1 where you're doing your billing, we're sending out 3 letters and doing 2 series of reminder calls for less than $15. I don't know if your staff can do that or your billing company, okay? Worst case to worst goes into step 3. Like I said, this is where my team of professional collectors. We have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. We train our collectors nationwide, understand the laws, and the laws change sometimes monthly, weekly, even daily, depending on what needs to be. They're trained. They know what they can say and what they can't say. All calls are recorded. And if we need to, if somebody calls in and says one of our collectors was mistreating him, we can review the call with you and let you understand what was said and how it was said. But when they complain about a call, trust me, they're not complaining that we swore, because we probably 99.999 we didn't. They're just trying to get out and pay the bill. So what we say to you is, when they make that statement, say, yes, Mrs. Johnson, I'm going to call my collection company as soon as I'm done with you here on the phone and find out what happened and get to the bottom of this. I do want to let you know that all the calls are recorded, so we will be reviewing the tape. But in the meantime, you have an outstanding invoice of $1,600. You just shifted on her. She thought she was going to get away without paying the bill because we were some mean people with debt collection. You took the matter and told her you're going to resolve it for her, but in the meantime, please tell me how you're going to pay your $1,500. And that's what we work with your staff on how to handle these calls. Worst comes to worst, like I said, there is legal intervention, and we work with you to and get that set up. And this here, it's a 50-50 split of what we collect. I talked about the interface. We're interfaced across the country. So whether it's, you're using a medical software or a QuickBooks or Sage, we're interfaced. The nice part about this is all our software interfaces. Basically, you click one button, it scans your entire patient database, tells you which patients or accounts are past due and should be put into collections. We do all that for you. It also records the payment, sends the payment back to us, really minimizing the amount of work that your staff has to do. Okay, so again, we have preferred prices with Novation, UNA, Purchasing Group, Prime Advantage, QuickBooks, Centricity, eClinical, Dentrix, Henry Schein, Athena, NextGen, you name it, we have agreements with them, so we can, if you're one of those clients, we can definitely give you preferred pricing. Okay, our flat rate collection system collects the debt, before any contingency. There is no percentage coming out. You're paying a flat rate. You keep 100%. And I want to show you something. So give me a minute, 1 second. I just wanted to show you a little bit of what it would look like online. So this would be your dashboard. I hope everybody's seeing this. This would be your dashboard at Kinham, okay? And with us, you can see this doctor has put in $117,981, and we've collected $74,853. I want you to look here, okay? Paid in full, 60.6%. The national average is 13.7%. We're over 60. And I will tell you how I really calculate it, okay? It's well over 60, okay? Because we have right here settled in full another 0.7%, okay? And you see payment arrangement 0.5. So together that's 1.2. So really we're at 61.8 total, okay? So for the doctor has $4,500 in credits. To date, he spent $5,500. I'm going to say that again, $5,500 to collect $74,853. If he was on a third, we're talking over $25,000 pay that would not go back in his product. So would you rather pay $5,500 and collect $74,000, or would you rather give up $25,000 for $75,000? Decision's yours. You can see my process. And as I tell my doctors and my practice managers, the more you use us, the cheaper we become. The sooner you use us, the cheaper we become. Remember that first letter is a courtesy notice. Let me go back to the presentation. Well, I just want to show you one thing, how easy it is to add a patient while we're here. People say to me, oh, it's a pain to put somebody in. No, it's not. You come up here, you select, you want to put in step 2, which is where you keep 100%. You'll see asterisks here in red. Wherever there's an asterisk, you put the first and last name in. The patient ID, it can be your practice. Like if you're using Athena or NextGen, they have a patient ID, or we'll generate one. And then like Social Security and birthday, if you have it, great, but I don't have to have it. I only need what's in the red asterisk area, okay? You can add as many phones as you want, okay? If you don't have any, you don't have any. Additional information, this is all extra that increases the chance of collection, but if you don't have it, email address, bank address, driver's license, place of employment. Are they married? I always tell people say to me, what do you worry about? They're married. Mr. Johnson owes a bill, not Mrs. Johnson. Mrs. Johnson may be the one paying the bill, and because the bill's going in her husband's name, she never sees it. So we always say put the second wife or husband on, okay? The debt information, we'll go through it with you if you're charging interest, okay? And then we show you how to even attach the invoice. We're much more successful when we have the actual invoice. If somebody we get a hold of somebody and we're talking to them, they say, well, send me a copy of the invoice, and I don't have it. I just lost that engagement because now I got to try to get them back on the phone once I get the invoice. You get me the invoice at the initial start, greatly increases. And we go through all this with you, okay? Now let me go back to my presentation.
So Bryan, in the interest of time, maybe we could try to quickly people
Yeah, I'm ready to go to the questions, so go right ahead.
Yeah. So again, Bryan, thank you so much for that. Really interesting. I think that's a side of the business that special people in telehealth, probably even just most physicians, they rarely actually think about this, but definitely think it's a critical aspect. Again, we'll just open up to the audience for any questions. Feel free to type it into the chat, then we'll ask them on the air. I guess maybe I can start out with a little bit. So when people don't pay, what are the common reasons people pay? Is it just right now healthcare is so expensive, people really just can't afford it? What are some like the top reasons people couldn't pay?
The big issue with Obamacare has been a big issue nationwide. There's a lot of strength to it. There's a lot of weaknesses to it. They don't realize when they signed up for the bronze or the silver plan what the deductible covers and what it doesn't. So we hear a lot, well, I have insurance now. Well, yeah, you do. Your physical is covered. So that's a big issue. A lot of it is also still the cost of it. They just, you're talking single families, single parent family. They just may not have the money and they need to set up a payment plan. And that's all the stuff the doctor can do. But if you don't push the issue, sad part of the industry, real quick, I'll go. The sad part of the industry is I go back to 2000. The doctor didn't worry about collecting the copay because it was $5. Today it's 25, 50, 100 for the entire amount.
Got it. So you're basically saying it's almost like one is just very expensive. The second piece is just very confusing. People think I have insurance. Why I need to pay some? I get the insurance, exactly. But in actuality, the co-pays and so on is still. I guess in the case of telehealth, I mean, this telehealth program, right? You put in your credit card before you actually have this visit. So in that case, I mean, do you see is then telehealth will be sort of immune from this sort of debt recovery?
I actually address that, but what I say to people, it's not immune, but it's greatly reduces the chance of human error or compassion. A lot of times what will happen is the patient will come to the desk, and which is Dr. Milton's office, and the front lady says, "Okay, Mrs. Smith, you have a $50 copay." "Oh, I'm sorry, I rushed out of my office at work. I left my wallet on my desk. Can you bill me?" And she says, "Sure." The problem is, again, 34% of the time they're not going to get paid. With telehealth, that you're going to have that you can't see the doctor without the bill being paid. The issue there is, I do make people know that debit cards and yes, even credit cards can bounce, and there can be a charge. So it's not as frequent, a lot less frequent, but yes, there still can be a need. I actually do debt collections for one telehealth company. It's a smaller one, but I do it for them.
Got it. Okay. So I have a question from the audience, Chang. So he's asking, how is reimbursement for, I guess, different or collection different for if you have a patient that's out of network versus in network? Is it just a different amount or like?
If you have a patient in network, you know the amount that you need to collect. And the question is, I know that some of the systems that we work with that are interfaced, but some can tell you, what the patient balance is, and some, they pre-authorize what needs to be collected. We're out of network. It's a little bit more difficult. They need to get, basically, you're probably trying to collect the entire balance. Some practices agree to, bill the insurance, see what they get paid, and to bill the balance. That's a standard practice throughout the U.S. That, we'll bill your insurance company, see what we get paid, and then we'll balance bill you for the rest. There are some plans that don't allow balance billing, so that's not an issue, but a lot of that is debt collection that needs to be recovered. So one of the biggest areas on that area becomes what we call insurance resolution. The insurance company actually does owe you money on out of pocket, but they deny the claim, and then you're trying to get the patient to pay for that same $15 or less. We actually put insurance companies nationwide into debt collection and get you paid by the insurance company. The nice part about the insurance company, and that's why we had that get you 100% paid. In insurance resolution, we guarantee 100% resolution. Now, the resolution may be we find out Mr. Johnson's insurance lapsed, and now we have to go over him, but we will get that information back to you. I do the collections for some large insurance carriers across the state of California and across the country, and then I get yelled at by them because they say, "Oh, 5 of your doctors put us in collection last week." I say, "Well, pay them, and I don't have to do that no more." They don't like that because it taxes their bonding capability. Okay, and it should pay quickly.
So, Bryan, in terms of I guess most physicians, they really dislike dealing with insurance companies, the bureaucrat, right, complicated. I mean, is there any sort of negative penalty if the doctor were to go after the insurance company? Does that
No, there's no negative penalty. I mean, I get asked that all the time. Yeah, well, if I put Blue Cross Blue Shield in next year, they're not gonna, not gonna. And I tell them, no, that's not the case. Most of the time, I mean, I hate to say this, I've been in different areas where you'll get a letter from the insurance company saying Mrs. Smith's claim was rejected, and we have not received your claim. But when you resubmit, please correct line item 47, line item 48. They tell you what's wrong with it, but they tell you they didn't receive it, so the clock doesn't start, or the clock continues to run. Excuse me. What I'm saying to you is a lot of this is done in the billing end that we correct. So if you're having trouble, it's a lot of time, is getting the right person on the phone from the insurance company and getting it resolved. The difference between your people calling and our letters go past the claims department and go up the ladder 3 or 4, and they get resolved, and we get the insurance company to call you instead of you putting somebody on hold. I was in just yesterday morning, a large cardiologist practice out here, and there was 2 ladies in that office calling insurance. One for the 15 minutes where I was working with the practice administrator and 2 new people how to use our system. I was listening to 2 of these ladies on hold, basically just sitting there waiting for somebody to pick it up. And when they get picked up, "Oh no, you're wrong department." And I looked at the doctor and I said, "I just got to ask you a question. I could have handled those 2 claims for, let's say, less than $30. Those 2 women have been sitting on the phone for a total of a half an hour, 15 minutes apiece. What did that cost you of them not getting other things done that they could get done?" So, don't be afraid to put insurance companies into collections. They're not gonna. They want the business. Trust me.
Got it, understand. But also so there's HIPAA is a big part of patient privacy. When you start, let's say use a debt collection, I'm assuming so everything you do are HIPAA compliant. Is there any additional things people should be sort of concerned about?
Debt collection is highly regulated. It's not only HIPAA, it's TCPA, it's the Fair Debt Collection Act, and it's the Financial Privacy Act that we all have to comply with. In using my system, it's encrypted. So if you give me their social security, street address, it's encrypted. We've not had any security breaches, knock on wood, to date. So we are encrypted. We are compliant. We are, we understand HIPAA completely. We work with, like I said, we wouldn't be able to work with them. Athena, NextGen, Epic, they transmit accounts directly to us through our encrypted service.
Got it. Okay. I guess another thing you mentioned, I guess before or just chatting before the webinar, you say so collecting data is especially tricky when it comes to concierge medicines. Again, so we know that a lot of telemedicine practice is a big areas concierge in there. Can you tell me more about why is that tricky?
We love working with concierge doctors. I think they've taken a personal battle across the country to lower healthcare costs and provide what I consider top-notch medical care. It gets a little tricky because what happens is, it's like your gym membership, or whatever membership you may have for a massage MB or whatever. There's a monthly fee, and then they calculate that monthly fee. They calculate what type of treatment you may get. I have a really good friend of mine back in New York who has 17 urgent cares across New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, and he provides this health care. Remember, he was one of the forefronts on this. For a single individual, I think it's now 119, but it started at $99 a month. But you start treating them, and things happen, and you have a big investment to get started with them. He covered a lot, like including X-rays. You had health issues, weight loss issues you need help with, and you could come in and talk to his people anytime. There were no restrictions. Problem is, what happens is very similar to my doctors who are doing in the veterinary world. They do the same thing. They offer this monthly plan, like a wellness plan, but the people come and get all the treatment done the first 3, 4, 5 months, and then they don't pay the back 6 months. So the concierge program has to be designed properly. We work with them on the collections, and we get involved very early there, usually within 45 days. So if they miss a payment and they miss the second payment, they're in collection shortly thereafter. So that's the tricky part of it, because the excitement of it wears off. What they don't realize is they're hurting themselves, because there's big recovery in this. There's big value to this. To give you an idea, a friend of mine went through divorce just recently. He got his Cobra for just himself, because his wife and kids were staying in him, and she provided insurance. It was over $1,000 a month. I set him up with my friend back in New Jersey. He's paying, I think, like I said, $99 or $119 a month, and he was 39 years old. He got major medical, $1 million policy for like $2,400 for the year. We ended up saving him close to $9,000 in medical costs a year. And I said to him, don't miss that payment every month, because that's your ticket to basic health care. And then if you get hurt, you have he has a deductible, $10,000 deductible. And what he did was $10,000 deductible. He has a $10,000 on his auto. So if he gets hurt in a car, that first $10 is covered, and then the major medical kicks in. So what I'm saying to you is, it's a really profitable business for doctors. Just some patients are really out there to swindle doctors, and we work with them. There's one quick more thing we do for you. We scan all your patients that you put in collections for what they call litigious debtors. These are debtors that go out there and get doctor practices in debt with doctor practice, and then work with a class action lawsuit attorney to sue you. And those debtors there, we drop the case for you and tell you to drop the case, because the cost to defend yourself is going to be 100 times more than the amount that they owe you. So it's just another way we protect the practice.
Okay, that's another industry thing I don't know about in this. I guess you mentioned sort of the only way to guarantee like 100% payment, right? You want to get this or paid at before seeing the patients. What are some of your tips for how to make sure you collect? Do you just tell them before the patients show up, say, take their credit cards or whatever?
We do a lot with, there's systems out right now that you can sign up in the patient's right. You can get their credit cards, get pre-authorization to charge any outstanding bills to them. That's one thing that you can do, and we work with you on that. We work with you on, services. I've learned a lot in medical debt collection over the years. A doctor will not refuse treatment, to a patient walking in if they're complaining of a chest pain or a headache or whatever. Because if, God forbid, they walk out and something happens or even drops dead, the lawsuit is 100 times worse than the collection. What we do at each practice is sit down with you and try to work with you to design the most, I'll call it, foolproof as possible system. What treatments would you turn somebody away for? What ones won't you turn somebody away for? Making sure that you're doing, your system is capable of doing, pre-authorization check. Most of the high-powered softwares out there now can do that. Athena can, NextGen can, I know Epic can, Centricity does. A lot of these high-powered MicroMD, they all do this pre-authorization. So we work with you to design the most foolproof. But the beginning, I go back, and if you look at what we talked about, is really working with your staff to be a little bit stubborn, okay, and train them and go over with them and say to them, you don't understand. He's paying you to sit there to collect that copay. You don't collect that copay, then he's paying me money to do it. That hurts the profitability of the practice, which in the long run affects your day-to-day, paycheck and increase in pay. You want a salary increase? Take pride in this practice like it's your own. And we really work hard with the staff. We have constant ongoing training of how laws have changed, how to collect, different ways to be more creative with collections. So there's many things that we do. It really becomes and I say, you're a teaming partner. We call it a teaming alliance. We're there to help you get as much as possible. As you saw that one company, over 61, almost 62% recovery. That's unheard of in the industry. Like I said, national average of medical is 13.7.
Yeah. So, but in terms of like the legally, under what conditions can doctor refuse prior treatment? I mean, you mentioned about the chest pain, but is there some general guidelines for, it's okay or not okay to refuse treatment?
It's tough for me to say because it's different. If you're talking a psychiatrist, there's different things. You're talking a cardiologist. You work with them, but if you're bringing in my son or daughter in for a physical, for the play sports, I mean, that's one thing you can hold the line to. But I've also had one doctor tell me he talked to his attorney, and what happens if the kid had has mono or some like these young players that drop dead with these heart issues, and you would have picked that up in the physical, you could be responsible down the road. It really falls back. I have to put that back on them, and you're talking to their attorney. I can make suggestions. I won't paint out what they need to do, but what I do is say, here's a perfect example. I come to your desk, right, Milton? Your receptionist sitting there. You're the doctor, and she says, "Oh, Mr. Pereyo, be a $50 copay." And I think I used this before. "Oh, I left my wallet back in my office." Okay, well, Mr. Pereyo, do you have Apple Pay on your phone? We can process a credit card right here, or can you call somebody and get the credit card number and we can punch it in? Now your office is going to pay a little bit more, in the processing because that's a card not present. But I'd rather pay that little extra percentage or so on a card not present than not. And I've seen it done. And some people get upset, and I say, you're the doctor, you should get paid. They don't walk into Safeway, which is a grocery store around here. They don't walk into a national grocery store like Walmart. They don't walk in and buy $100 worth of groceries and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have the money. I'll pay you next week."
So Brian, do you mean like if I'm a doctor office, if I have the credit card swipe it versus I type in there, and the credit card company will pay me different amount in this? You mentioned like that.
Yeah, it's called the card not present. I do have a nationwide credit card processing I work with. They can most likely save each doctor some money because the card not present sometimes is not true. It is, depending on how your staff does that. So there's ways to get around that, and we can show you that.
Got it. Okay. We have a question from the audience, Wayne. So he asking, what about in terms of collecting for missed appointments in there? We know like industry-wide, right? Patient no-show is a significant problem. What's your strategy for collecting on that?
Patient no-show?
Yeah.
It's a very hard item to collect. I've seen doctors lose patients because of it. They cancel. If it's spelled out very well in the patient rights that they've signed, yes, it's something we can collect. I will tell you it's a very low percentage, less than 20% on national average that we're collecting on patient no-shows. What we try to work with the doctor is to paint a very specific no-show policy, have it, posted on the wall in the office, constantly remind them that, you have an appointment next Tuesday. If you don't cancel by Friday, you're going to be billed for that process. Again, getting that credit card set up to automatically process this thing. The other thing that we found recently, and again, it's a suggestion, is saying to the doctor, on the no-show, it's a $125 visit, but you didn't spend that. There's some cost, maybe you could do like on a no-show, you charge them a flat fee of $50. And what we found is sometimes patients will agree to that a lot easier than trying to have to pay for the whole visit.
So, Brian, is there any legal restriction for charging the whole amount? The reason I'm thinking, if I book a hotel, I book an airplane ticket, if you no show, the airline still charge me the whole amount in there. Like illegally, could I set up a practice where I collect money at the time of the appointment, the full amount, even if it's a no show, I still have the full amount?
In most states, I will tell you it's legal. I think you have to, again, I'm not an attorney, you'd have to go back and talk to your attorney. Yes, it's legal on, and a lot of doctors that I work for try to collect it, and then they agree to settle for less. The problem is, I mean, if the person was in a car accident, you're probably going to excuse them.
Yeah, because I mean that in that case, I
It's
guess
not
you
a,
can come special. Yeah. Okay. I just
but
feel like
yes, it is. In most states, it's legal.
okay.
So in most states, it's legal.
Okay, that's good to know. I actually, to be honest, I feel like that's actually more fair. Just like in every business, yes, I use a hotel, airline, right? So once you allocate a slot, so it's not like doctor making money, then they actually losing money if you have a no-show.
Well, the argument becomes, and it's a solid argument, is exactly what you just said. I've blocked out a certain time, especially like dentists, that becomes an issue in the dentistry industry. They've blocked out that chair, or
Yeah,
you blocked out that exam room for that
yeah,
certain amount of time, and it's a no-show and it's lost revenue for you. So it is legal to bill for it. I can just tell you it's a very tough item to collect. People don't like to pay, but if it's pointed out very well, a lot of times that's where I go with, get the credit card set up, get it in your patient right agreement. And it's coming that time of year where a lot of practices start renewing stuff. I say to them, get this in your agreement, talk to your attorney, get the proper language in there, so they can build a credit card. Your credit card company will give you the language that you need to say that you have the authorization to hold the card for a year, that number, and bill against it. Just remember, when you hold a credit card, depending on your software, make sure it's protected, because that Privacy Act becomes a big issue for you, because if you get hacked, you've disclosed that information. So, and check with your insurance carrier. Sometimes they don't. I know there's some malpractices in insurance companies that that for liability don't want the doctors holding that credit card, but some do. So
got it. Okay. I guess so Brian, we have a follow-up question from Wayne. He's asking is, so I guess he's been told that it's illegal to bill for the missed first appointment. Is that true, or like how, for example, the very first appointment is a no-show?
um, again, on a state by state, I don't know what state he's in. He might be correct on that. It may be illegal. It may be illegal in Chicago, but it may not be illegal in Cleveland, Ohio. I don't know the state statutes, so that may be an issue. Again, if they haven't signed your patient rights form and they've been notified, that patient right is an agreement that they've agreed to it. So that first appointment may be, a no-show. Especially if I do a lot with plastic surgeons, and in the where they do a lot of tummy tucks and stuff like that. That consultation that they book for, for 50 or 100 or $200. Sometimes the people don't show, and they try to, and I basically say, that's a risk you take. And just like an attorney, charge me $200 for a consultation. I don't show up. You really can't charge me because I haven't signed anything.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Because I
Right.
guess
If I can give it one bit of advice going across the country, if you're going to start lending, or not lending, but allowing people to be on payment plans, the collection laws are a lot stricter. So we have more power if you make them sign some type of promissory note. And
okay.
that's something you should get from your attorney. So if you're out there allowing them, treatment, whatever it may be, and it's they owe $1,000, $2,000, $500,000, really get them set up on some type of promissory note, because it's different between just a verbal commitment to make $50 payments a month for the next 5 months compared to
Versus
executed promissory note.
Got it. Then another question I have is, by the way, so right now in terms of, we talk a lot about these sort of credit cards, there's, there's PayPal, there's Stripe, there's all these, services. In terms of for physician office, especially around telemedicine, to have some sort of like a credit card, I mean, does it matter which service you use? Is there, certain thing that's really designed for doctor offices you would recommend, or was it
Yeah,
really just a
yeah.
matter of just like,
We have two services we work with that really do they do the reminder calls, they do the patient verification. Some doctors already have that in their software, depending on what
okay,
software they're using. Some don't. If you don't have that, yeah, I just posted my numbers and stuff. Please contact it. We do have
okay,
ways to help you protect against that. You can, a lot of my systems now will, well, my systems will accept PayPal, they'll accept Venmo, they'll
yeah.
accept, Stride, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay. I can show you how to greatly increase that opportunity to collect.
Got it. Okay. Bryan, this is really, really insightful. Thank you so much for that. As we're wrapping up this, I'd like to maybe, so we try to always wrap on finish this webinar on the very maybe thought-provoking, just slightly out there. So first question I ask you is, so, you've been in the industry from telehealth, debt collection, digital health for quite some time. What is something that you believe in that the rest of the world do not believe in?
The rest of the world believing that I believe in.
No, they do not. The rest of the world, they do not believe in yet. But that you,
I think the biggest misnomer, and I talk this all the time to people. Right away they hear I do debt collection for doctors, and they say, "Why, they don't make enough money?" And I try to the current scenario that I pointed out here. It's probably the only industry I would say that I know that most people don't know, that the per visit has gone backwards and been reduced and reduced compared to every other service, whether you're an electrician, a plumber,
Mhm.
cable guy, anything that, even the train ticket has gone up, the postage stamp has gone up, doctor's visit has decreased per visit, yet you're dealing with a person who's highly educated. And basically, my Dr. Hauser saved my life back in 2010. I had AFib from a heart valve, and he saved my life. So I wish people had higher respect for the services that doctors perform and paid them, because it's amazing that in my industry, and like I said, I'm the leader and preferred debt collection agency for some of the top small business softwares like QuickBooks and FreshBooks around the world, that my biggest volume of business is medical. And I
uh,
would hope it would be different, but it's not.
Understood. Then the final question I have is, right now the healthcare, especially with, in the DC is all over the place. We have the Texas court striking down, making the Affordable Care Act, unconstitutional. We have all these, the midterm election was, I think the top issue for voter was healthcare. We have this where, like, whether repeal or not repeal, just go with the. I mean, so if you can whisper, let's say you have 1 minute with President Trump and you can influence him, plant the idea in him, like what would you tell him to do?
I'd have a few ideas, but from a telehealth standpoint, I think one of the saddest things, I don't know if it's recently changed, Milton. I haven't kept up with the law, but I know we were trying to get it approved many times, was telemedicine for Medicare patients. If they're
Mhm.
not in a rural area, Medicare won't pay.
They're in the process of changing that in there, but
Right,
if
I know
it will
they're in the
take a while.
process. So
Yeah.
that would be one I would really push for him.
Okay.
Two, and people will argue with me, and it's just my opinion. I don't think Obamacare helped. I think Obamacare, I work with a lot of insurance agents across the country. Obamacare has been very expensive for people. And as I showed in my thing, they get the primary visit and the follow-up visit, but then nothing, the rest is out of pocket.
Mm,
I like the concept of what he was trying to do. I just don't think it was designed more for profitability than for care.
I see. Got it. So end of the day is really is about like just reducing the cost and reducing the thing to make things affordable actually for people.
And I'll go one more real quick. When I started in telemedicine with you back in 2013, our goals, and it's still a law today, unless it's changed, you can tell me. The law says in California, I know for specific, and I think in about 30 states, if I can duplicate the visit online like I would perform live in an office, that I should get reimbursed the same amount. And there are companies out there that are, doing telehealth visits for $49, $59, $69 a visit. The doctor's not getting that. So what I love about what you do is you work with the doctors and try to help on that aspect to increase the revenue. I think telehealth is a not only growing industry, I think it's a necessary process as time grows, and it's going to become more. I use it myself at least twice or 3 times a year with my doctor to renew my blood pressure medicine. It's great. I do it right from my phone or from my computer. And I can tell people nationwide that, telehealth is where the industry's headed. You better become part of it.
Makes sense in there. Okay, thank you so much for this really insightful in there. Really appreciate it. I guess, Anne, do you have the final the closing slide? Okay, so I guess and again, really appreciate, Bryan, thank you so much for sharing this. Again, this is a topic, to be honest, like I work with a lot of physicians. It's something people struggle with. It's an area that really don't want to touch. It's nice to know that there's an expert. Hopefully a lot of them will contact you. Then for VSee, we're pretty excited about next year. The first is we'll have a pretty significant booth at the HIMSS. We have a really amazing spot. So right now we're looking for partners to exhibit inside our booth. We do this pretty frequently in most of the trade shows. If you're interested, take an area within that booth. We're going to drive a lot of traffic in this. Please contact me or contact Ann, and we'll get you hooked up again. So it's coming up in Orlando. Again, this is the biggest healthcare IT show. Was 50,000 plus attendees in there. I think you're going to really enjoy be inside our booth. We're going to, again, drive a lot of traffic. Then the next thing is we're started planning our Telehealth Secrets conference next year. Right now, we're specifically looking for technology or partner within the Silicon Valley where we could use their venue. We're basically looking for auditorium that could accommodate maybe around 500 people. And again, so we're trying to square away the venue, then we can have amazing conference. Again, if you know some venue that might be a great partner in there, we would love to please give us a call. We'll be very grateful for that. Again, so thank you so much, Bryan, for sharing your insights. Really appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you for the time.
Thanks. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.